There are three types of questions we can ask ourselves. Now, one is an uncreative question. Questions like, am I good enough? Am I lovable? What if no one likes my stuff? We do not want the answer to these questions. These aren't even questions. They're just fear dressed up as questions. And I've devoted another podcast to it. In fact, I wrote an entire book about it called Everyone Has What It Takes. So that's one kind of question. You don't want to ever ask an uncreative question, but we do, but there's no point in asking them. They lead nowhere. But there's two other kinds of questions that you do want answers to. One is factual. Oh, there's so many factual questions. What's the capital of Cambodia? What does it mean to be offsides in soccer? What do you do? What is a semicolon? It goes on and on and on and on. All of math is made up of nothing but factual questions and answers. And as a part of the creative process, we need factual answers sometimes. One of the best examples was when I was a young man. I wanted to write music and I knew how to read it, but I didn't know anything about music theory. I had a keyboard I bought myself, but I couldn't figure out how to make the music I want on the keyboard. I knew there was something I needed to understand. I didn't understand about what a chord was. I didn't understand what a key was. So I was missing this. I went down and actually did something I never do. I bought a book on music theory. And within about a half an hour, I understood what it meant to be in the key of F or the key of B flat or the key of C sharp. And I knew what a chord was. And I was on my way. That was some facts. You don't have to get them. You can just figure it out. But I decided to find out using a book. I could have done it on my own, but there's a lot of ways to get answers to facts, and we need them. If you're a historical writer, you need a lot of facts. So that's interesting. And when you go to school, facts are a lot of what you're being taught, a lot of what you're being asked. Factual answers are a lot of what you're asked to give. You're given factual questions and you have to give the answer. So much of what school is. But factual questions are not creative because the answer to a factual question ideally is the same for everyone. In other words, 2 plus 2 is 4 no matter who you are or where you live. Doesn't matter. The capital of New York is Albany, no matter who you are or what you do. Doesn't matter. Factual questions are the same. Answers to factual questions are, for the most part, same for everybody. And there's something nice about that. There's a kind of agreement. There's a kind of sturdiness or something concrete about it. But it's not creative. Creative questions, that's what we're really concerned with as writers. And as a creative question, the creative questions, only you have the answer to them. That's right. A true creative question, only you have the answer to it. Your whole book that you're writing, the stories that you write, they're all just creative questions. What should come next? What should come next? What should come next? What should come next? What's the word here? What does my character do for a living? Why was I so interested in Amanda Pingree when I was 12? Only I have the answer to my questions about the stories I write. Only I have answer to the question, who's attractive to me? Only I have the answer to the question, what's the music I like? What should go here? These are the creative questions. And they're the most important questions of our life. Writing is a great place to practice answering them because the only right answer was the one that feels right. And you have to let how you feel about the answer be the sole reason you know it's right, unlike factual questions where it's not about how you feel. I don't care how you feel about 6 times 6 is 36. I don't care how you feel about it. That's how it is. But when you have a creative question, how you feel about the answer is everything. It's the only way if you know if it's true. And as artists, that's what we live by, creative questions. And sometimes your answer is not someone else's answer. What's a good story? That's a good question, but your answer ain't mine necessarily, right? It's true. We seek agreement in life, and that's nice. But to write, you have to be able to answer the questions for yourself. Every word you write is an answer to a creative question that only you can answer. And the whole life you lead, because the answer to creative questions, what's the work I want to do? What's the person I want to be with? What's the city I want to live in? These are directions. As you answer them, you're given a direction, and now you're headed that way. And that's your life. So the most important questions anyone can ask are creative. And writing is a fantastic place to practice answering them, to get the right answer, knowing the right answer. because of how it feels and trusting that and knowing that's enough. That's all you need to write your story, to lead your life. It's true. Yes, it is. You know it is. Hey, thanks for listening. Hit subscribe if you don't want to miss anything. And if you like it, say so. I do love to hear from you. Click the little like button. I try to respond as much as I can. So until next week, this is Bill Kenower. Stay fearless.